Welcome everybody to the Avp Wargamer channel, where we mostly talk about Aliens vs. Predator, mostly. And today we're going to talk about the new Zombicide games that came out. If you haven't checked out my top 10 Halloween games, I did a bunch of stuff there. I'm also going to show an unboxing for Marvel Zombies as soon as I get that video edited. But in the meantime, I just want to kind of talk about all of my hobby fun and everything that I've been doing. I hope you guys are having a great hobby lifestyle and having a good time, and let's talk about it. So I got the Marvel Zombies game from Kickstarter with its 162 playable characters plus zombies and human shield agents. Ugh, I hate painting these shield agents. They are awful. So many pouches and straps, and they're wearing black and white, so it's hard. It's hard for me to paint them, but I am plugging away. I've got about 70% of the whole game painted. I did about 2 weeks of almost nonstop painting, and I've gotten pretty far. I will definitely have that on this channel later, but it's been really fun. I played the game a few times with a group of friends that I meet up with weekly. Last week we got a couple games in. We fought against Galactus. I got Galactus all painted up, and that was really fun. But we were able to defeat Galactus the second time around. The first time around, just the cards punished us to death. The second round, we were able to get all the cards we needed to defeat Galactus. I think it was Wolverine and Hulk were just pounding on Galactus while all the other heroes, they were heroes. So all the other heroes, they were keeping the zombie hordes down while Wolverine and Hulk just focused on pounding on Galactus until they beat him. But yeah, it was fun. It's a fun game. It plays a lot different than the other Zombicides when it comes to the way the characters operate. Instead of searching for items, you just draw a zombie trait once per turn if you want to draw one as an action. The game levels up very quickly because the cards that you draw bring in a lot of shield agents when you are the zombie heroes, and lots of zombies when you are the living heroes. So, but all in all, I'm enjoying the game a lot. It's not my favorite Zombicide, but it's definitely my favorite for painting. Painting these miniatures has been such a pleasure. There's nothing like painting some of your favorite characters that have been around for over 4 decades. You know, you got classic Spider-Man. As you're painting them, you don't really need to look at a reference photo because you know this character, you know the colors, you know what you're doing from the get. So painting has been very nostalgic and fun. Painting all the different heroes and their zombie counterparts. It's a lot of fun, and the game system, it's fast. You don't really have to wait your turn if you're playing with people that know what they're doing, because there is no turn sequence in this version of the game. You basically go in whatever order you want, which has been fantastic for Zombicide, because then that allows you to really coordinate and maximize your abilities and benefits. And so, like, if you're not sure if a certain hero is going to be able to get through some zombies, you can let them try first, and then if you need to run in and save them, you can. So it's fun. It's very neat, and I definitely like this mechanic better than most of the games that I've played. You know, having to wait in turn order as people go around the board, because you know you have that group of gamers where one of the people in the group, and I've been that person, you have to sit there and really think about what you're going to do, and all the other players have probably already figured out what they're going to do already, so you're just like, I should go, but I don't want to make a bad decision, so you're really weighing out what you need to do. But in this game, you can go ahead and sit there and think while all the other players play their turns and then come around to you. And so it's a very quick, organic way to play the game. And a lot of times we saw ourselves having our turns at the same time, because I would be on one side of the board trying to do a certain objective while the other person, all they were doing is fighting zombies. So they might as well just start rolling dice. They do their thing while I do my thing. So I definitely like that turn mechanic. it is actually really fun and it plays a lot faster. As far as the rule set goes, this Zombicide is probably the lightest as far as like what you need to remember for abilities, because it's great. All the abilities are written on the cards, and you just read them and do what they do. In previous Zombicides, you had to look up keywords and things like that. I'm not a huge fan of keywords. I think keywords do have their place. Like if you're playing Warhammer 40k and it has like Feel No Pain, everybody pretty much knows what that is. That's a part of the language of Warhammer 40k. If you're a brand new player to Warhammer 40k and you don't know what the Feel No Pain rule is, it kind of sucks to have to look that up. But if you've been playing a long time, that's just part of your language. And I think that all games shouldn't have to rely on learning their language, if you know what I mean. Like obviously D6, D10, D20, those kind of terms, I think, are just a part of the gamer language in general that new gamers need to learn. But that aside from that, I don't think people need to have to learn a language per rule set or per game. Stupid and fun, and this game is just stupid fun. You're running around, you're eating Mary Jane and Aunt May as all these heroes, and it's a great time. And then when you're the heroes, you feel a little bit more serious, as if you're fighting off an actual threat. If you read the comics, it's funny because the whole premise is, the superheroes get infected and they can still think, they can still use all their powers, but they are undead, and if they get too hungry, they just kind of don't care and they eat people. And that's basically it. It's been fun. I got the Zombies Omnibus. It's like this $100 thick old book filled with all the zombie comics for Marvel Zombies, and I'm about halfway through it. And some of the parts in the story are stupid. Like when they go to Ape Marvel Universe, everybody's an ape with play on word ape names. It's so dumb. But some of the artwork and some of the issues are really good. The art for most of the covers and alternative covers are also fantastic. But there's one series, it just is Peter Parker going to another dimension as a zombie, and he's kind of gotten over the hunger a little bit. He's like, oh hey, hey, I recognize this universe. This is when I was graduating, and I can like cure my virus if I get this certain tablet that was just discovered in this timeline, and this will be great. I won't have to eat people ever again. And then the Sinister Six attack him, and he ends up eating all of them and turning them into zombies. And then he's like, all right, I had to eat those guys, but now that I'm full, I can, oh crap. And then all the Sinister Six, they turned into zombies, and they just ate Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane and all of his classmates. He's like, no, I was trying to save you. Why does everything I do always end up in my friends getting hurt? And the art style was in classic Marvel comic style, from like the 1960s. So it was fun. That was a fun issue. But anyways, back to the board game. You can create a lot of those moments from the comic series. Like if you want to play as the Sinister Six, there's a Sinister Six expansion that has all those characters where you can play with them, against them, or you can actually do player versus player. Which this is the first time Zombicide has ever included a player versus player mechanic. It's kind of weird. I don't like it 100%, but it does work, and I am excited to kind of play it further and explore with it. But the premise is that you're holding objectives, and you're basically playing with the hero rules and the zombie rules at the same time. So you have your own decks of cards that you're pulling from, whether you're a zombie or a hero, and the minions that spawn, the zombies and the shield agents, they don't really fight each other, but they run and hold objectives. So as the opposite side, you're trying to get their pawns off of those objectives and kill the other heroes. And it looks fun. It looks like a really fun duel kind of game. And I'd like to see more of that developed from Cool Mini or Not, having more of the player versus player element. Because cooperative is great, but we've been playing cooperative Zombicide for quite a while now. All right, so let's see. Other than that, yeah, it's Marvel Zombies. It's fun. You can play as heroes. You can play as the zombie heroes. You can do player versus player. You've got all the iconic locations from the comics that you have board sections for if you have all the expansions. It's just a great time. And with Deceased, that's on Kickstarter right now. It's only been a day, and they're up already past $330 million. They're just like cranking through. Or is it $330,000? I don't know. It's a lot of zeros. They got a lot of zeros there, and uh, we'll really find out what this campaign's about in a couple weeks for sure. Because usually what they do with Cool Mini or Not is they'll do a Kickstarter where they're like, oh, just $130 to the game. You want it, and then you'll get a ton of exclusives. And then 3 weeks later, they show you all the expansions that you want and the giant figure and all this stuff. And then you're out the door $800 at the end of it if you want it all. Uh, but so far, all I know with Deceased is that they will not have a zombie hero mode, unfortunately. And already, everybody in the Facebook groups are making their own hero zombie cards for the DC characters that they can play in Marvel Zombies. But other than that, it plays exactly the same. It's just got a DC skin on it, and so yeah, it's going to be so easy for you to homebrew, and you could play as zombies, Superman fighting against the humans, or vice versa. You know, it's totally going to be fine. I'm excited for it because I love Batman and I love all the Batman villains. I'm a huge fan of the Sinister Six and the Batman villains. Those are like my favorite characters from both Marvel and DC. Growing up, I wasn't really into superhero comics as much. I was into Aliens versus Predator and Ninja Turtles. I started out with Ninja Turtles, and then a friend of mine was like, hey, did you see Aliens versus Predator? And I was like, what's Aliens versus Predator? And he showed me the first color comic book from Dark Horse. And then I was like, whoa, these monsters are cool. And then I started watching the movies. And then within probably about 2 months, I was head over heels in love with AVP and all the comics for Aliens and Predator, and started buying them up. And that was my thing. And even today, I still buy those comics. And I think I have every single one of them at this point. I stopped collecting for a while in the early 2000s, and then eventually I either bought up extra issues at like book conventions, or I got the big omnibus kind of stuff and caught up on whatever I missed out on. But other than that, I have most of the stuff, at least everything from the 90s. I have all of it, and all the new stuff. So yeah, well, and I'm going to do more about that on the channel. On this channel, I'm mainly focused on miniature wargaming, but the Alien versus Predator lore and all that stuff, I'm definitely working into everything. Speaking of which, I will be making a card for Predator in Marvel Zombies, which, if you don't know, they just had Predator versus Wolverine come out as a comic. That's been, I think they're on issue 2 now. I just got those issues, and it's actually pretty fun. You think, Predator versus Wolverine, of course, Predator's going to lose. I mean, he always loses. Poor Predator. He loses in every damn comic book, but he's a beautiful monster, and the artwork's great on Wolverine versus Predator, and so far the battle's been pretty fun, and the story's pretty interesting, so I like it, and I'll keep buying it. But that being said, I am going to make some homebrew rules for Predator. I've already done it for regular Zombicide. I'm going to make some cards for Predator in both Zombicide Invader and Marvel Zombies, and I'll have a Predator and a Zombie Predator for both games. So if you want to check out some of my homebrew kind of stuff that I've been creating, I put it all on my Facebook group, which is Avp Wargamer on Facebook. We've got a great community over there with a lot of very passionate fans of Aliens and Predator and Terminator, and of miniatures and miniature wargaming. If you want to see some really cool shit, go to my Facebook group. Some of my favorite people on there is Pete Buckle. Shout out to Pete. He's an amazing painter. He's obsessed with the movie Aliens, like a lot of us over there. But what he does is he takes miniatures and makes them almost as realistic as you can make a little 28 millimeter miniature as far as painting goes. Like his painting is really damn good. And then I think it's Andrew Bader. He's also really good too. We got a lot of good people over there, and we have a ton of fun painting miniatures and doing that kind of stuff. And then if you really like Alien and Predator miniatures, there's a ton of crap on Patreon and on My Mini Factory. Papsicles, he's done his own version of the Skull Hunters, which they also have rules for in that game, One Page Rules. One Page Rules, I think, is going to be, it might actually become the next Warhammer 40k, because it's what they're doing is really cool, and there are unofficial rules for Predator armies over there. So if you are a fan of One Page Rules, download the Predators and Xenomorphs from their web page, and then get into that miniature game. It looks a lot of fun. And now 3D artists are creating stuff specifically for One Page Rules. So One Page Rules might take the crown soon if 3D printing keeps going where it's going. So yeah, but let's go back to talk about Zombicide just for a little bit more. As I want to just kind of compare all the Zombicides. I haven't played a lot of Zombicide physically. Played the game, but I have a lot of the games, and I have at least played them all at least once. I have Zombicide 2nd Edition, which is, I think it's my favorite just because if you're gonna do a zombie themed game, doing modern day just makes sense, with the zeitgeist of, Walking Dead and Night of the Living Dead and all those other zombie films. Regular Zombicide is pretty much standard fare for a zombie game. You're running around, you're searching for items and weapons and throwing Molotov cocktails, and you kind of, to beat the big bad monsters, the big leaders of the groups, you have to find a Molotov cocktail or get some gasoline in a bottle and then make your own. So it's kind of a neat mechanic because it makes the abominations really hard to defeat, and then the other zombies have a lot of flavor and a lot of character. So that's it, and it's the most developed, and you got the most expansions for it, so you can do pretty much anything for that. They've also been doing a lot of licensing deals, so you can have The Boys from the TV show The Boys, the superheroes in that game. People have already made some fan-made rules for Marvel Zombies. You can get off of some of the Marvel Zombies websites. Also, I do have another Facebook group called the Zombicide / Walking Dead Wargamer. And that's another Facebook group page that I post all of that stuff on. Zombicide also has Zombicide Black Plague, which is like a fantasy version. I actually made rules for a Monty Python The Holy Grail campaign using some stuff you can 3D print, which I give away for free on that Facebook group, and as well as a rule book and rules for all the missions. I'm going to do like a second revised version of it soon. After playtesting it, I found some flaws in the rulebook, which I'm going to correct and then put back out there. But it was really fun campaign. I played it with a buddy of mine, and it's definitely Monty Python. And I think you'd enjoy some of the missions, especially Castle Anthrax, where you have to spank those Anthrax girls and get them out of the way. You can't kill them, but you can spank them. So it's a pretty fun game. And if you want to download the Girls of Castle Anthrax, they're an STL file that I made off of, I think it's Hero Forge. I made a peasant girl that you can download and print like 150 of those for that campaign. Next, Zombicide Invader. Zombicide Invader, I'm excited to actually play it more than I have. I've only done it a couple times, and it's really neat. It's futuristic. It's basically aliens and hordes of aliens pouring in instead of zombies. And a friend of mine, Kenny, he works at a graphics design print shop, and he printed the coolest board, which I will show you guys soon. It's this whole spaceship, like 4 foot by 4 foot game board that he designed. He took all the assets of the game board and then designed his own spaceship with new rules and missions, and you have a new asteroid cards where asteroids and fungus asteroids come flying in and they start spawning aliens on your ship. And so it's really cool. Very much reminds me of of Nemesis and Aliens. You know, both of those games, the Aliens and Space Hulk. You know, it could be used for all of those games. This game board's really cool, and he gave me a copy of one, so I'll share that on the channel soon once I get around to it. But yeah, that game has a lot of potential. And then Marvel Zombies, like I was saying, it's really fun to paint all the miniatures. Gameplay wise, it's just it's kind of casual, and I think a lot of new players would really get into it. And then, so yeah, if you want to introduce people into the realm of miniature war games, Zombicide is always a great choice. I think that they have so many different themes you can choose from, and just there's something out there for everybody. Like if you have friends that are into cowboys, there's a Zombicide Undead or Alive Wild West theme, which is really fun. And that's a good game too. It's hard. That one's hard, but it's really fun. And it's got that Wild West vibe, which is cool. Or if they're into the future stuff, you've got, you know, Zombicide Invader. If they like superheroes, you got that covered. And then new DC will be out in a year and a half when they get that done off a Kickstarter. So it's a great gateway game into miniature war games. The rule set's easy. The gameplay is easy, but the missions are very difficult. And I've lost a lot. I've lost that game more than I've won. I'll just tell you that right now. So yeah. So let me know what you think about Zombicide. If you think it's a good game, I'm gonna try to do some Zombicide Invader, Alien and Predator missions. I'm gonna design some stuff for that. But if you're not an artist and you don't do homebrew stuff, it's really easy to just swap out the miniatures. Get some alien miniatures and replace them with, you know, whatever creatures are in the game, and you can play it that way. So, and I was thinking the same thing for modern Zombicide. I saw people doing that too. Instead of zombies, they had aliens, and the only rule they did was if you kill the alien and you're on the same space, you get hit with the acid blood and take a wound. So that was like as much homebrewing as they did. So, you know, it's your game, man. Do what you want. You have fun with it. But I'm having a great time with it. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think you guys would too if you gave it a try. Other things going on right now. If you're on PlayStation 4, or actually I think PlayStation 5 has it too, but the monthly game this month for November 2023 is Aliens Fireteam Elite. So if you want to try out that game, it's available. That game's not super popular, unfortunately. So if you were doing the online multiplayer, which is basically what the whole game is, it's a cooperative online multiplayer. If you don't have friends to play with, join their Facebook group. They have a chat where I see people posting all the time. It's like, hey, anybody want to play? Who's playing right now? And you just connect with some of those guys on Facebook, and then you'll find some partners for the game. If not, they do have some AI bots, which they kind of suck, but at least you're not playing completely alone. You have some AI bots that'll follow you around. Other news: Dead by Daylight has the Alien as a download. So if you're a fan for Aliens, there's a lot of content out there. But Dead by Daylight Alien is really awesome. It's probably my favorite killer to play in that game. So that came out a month ago, and it's one of my favorite villains to play on that game. And then I heard Chucky's coming out next for Dead by Daylight. So finally we get to play the evil doll, and I'm a huge fan of Dead by Daylight. I think they're gonna keep having more franchise killers coming out and more content forever, because it's a great game, and it's a fun sandbox kind of game that you can play in with your friends. I mean, it's not a sandbox game technically, but you know what I mean. It's like a big online multiplayer game that is great for parties. So it's fun. Let's see. Oh, speaking of Dead by Daylight, I also have the Dead by Daylight board game, and I'll do a video exclusive about that. But I've already featured it in my top 10 games of Halloween for this year. So if you want to check out that video, it should be one video below this one. That one, it's really fun. It plays like the video game, and I'm gonna start making all the custom franchise characters for it too. Because that game, they didn't have the rights to do all the franchise monsters in it. Obviously, that would be a marketing nightmare to get everybody to sign off on a board game. But 3D printing's your friend, And if you're not an artist, most of the Dead by Daylight monsters are inspired by the movie monsters, like famous movie monsters. Like there's a guy with a chainsaw. Super easy to swap him out and have him as Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's totally fine. And all the STL files are out there. If you can think about it, you can print it because there's a ton of options. Speaking of options of 3D printing, there's a 50% off sale on myminifactory.com. So if you wanted to get some of those 3D printing files, especially from some of those artists that are a lot more expensive, especially ones that do proxy Tyranids, now's your chance. 50% off on my mini factory. This video is not sponsored by anyone at all, so I'm just recommending you some fun things that I've been finding. What else is new? Predator Hunting Grounds is still around. I still play that from time to time. There's a couple players on there that have literally played it every day since it was released, so it's still an active game. I don't know for how much longer, because they really didn't support that game as much as it should have. And it's got a pretty big player base where there's people playing it literally every day. So it's been a while now. It's been like 3 years. But yeah, Predator Hunting Grounds, you can still play that. It's a fun game. If you haven't played it, I think you'd like it. It's really fun. And if you want to play games with me, leave me a comment with your PlayStation like user ID or whatever, and I'll add you as a friend. And if I'm on there, or if we connect, we can play some either Aliens Fireteam Elite or that Predator game. And then I heard there's some other stuff in the works too. I heard there's another Alien game coming out, and there's another Predator game coming out soon. I don't know any details on those yet, but I will definitely talk about them on this channel when I know more. I think I ran out of things to talk about. So again, actually no, I didn't. If you check out my Instagram, which is Avp Wargamer, you can see one of my new projects. I'm working on a model of Los Pollos Hermanos from Breaking Bad, the chicken restaurant. There's a kit off of Amazon that is basically the building blueprint for Los Pollos Hermanos. It's a laser cut model kit with an empty interior, and of course I want to flesh out the entire interior, so I had to screenshot the show and some of the photos on Google. I just Google searched a bunch of images, like the menu board. There's a Google search image that showed you the menu board, and took me a little bit of photoshopping to make it perfect, but it didn't take too much effort. And then I printed it really small on glossy paper, so I have the actual menu from Breaking Bad's Los Pollos Hermanos in this model. And then I 3D printed all the chairs and tables and the kitchen and the cash register and all that fun stuff. And all these files I got for free on cults3d.com. And it's almost done, but I've been posting progress pictures on that on my Instagram. So if you're a fan of Breaking Bad, it's on there too. And also a little zombie history. If you're a big fan, you also know that The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad are technically connected in the universe. There's a lot of references to Breaking Bad in the Walking Dead universe, including in Fear the Walking Dead. They actually play the Ballad of Heisenberg as a mariachi band in one of the episodes. And then Daryl talks about a drug dealer he used to work for who used to call him a little bitch. And then there's another scene where I think it was Daryl's brother has a bag and it has some crack cocaine in it that happens to be that special blue. So for me, I have the Walking Dead All Out War game, and then of course all the Zombicide games. So I thought I gotta have a Los Pollos Hermanos, and so I'm gonna finish building that miniature for whenever I do some tabletop wargaming in a zombie universe. My next project that I want to do is I want to do the Quick Stop from Clerks. I've already 3D printed some stuff for that, and I got the signage printed. And then I'm going to do some billboards for Better Call Saul, and then of course for some of the Marvel characters like Fisk. I got some posters for that, and then I can use this in Marvel Crisis Protocol, or the Walking Dead game, or any zombie game. So it's just fun project. And then after that, I think it was there's another studio. Oh, Blacksite Studios. They sell a lot of cool stuff. They have 3D printable stuff, and they also sell some games like Don't Look Back, which is like a horror-based game. And each expansion for that is based off of a different killer, which again is directly inspired by a lot of horror movie monsters. But they have some laser cut terrain that is based off of some popular franchises. Like they've got the firehouse from Ghostbusters. So you can turn their firehouse into a Ghostbusters firehouse, which is pretty cool. And then there's also the Psycho house from Psycho, and the Beetlejuice house from Beetlejuice. And again, I have STL files already printed for characters for all those franchises. So it'd be really cool for me to have those on the tabletop and give people a chuckle when they walk by. They're like, wait a minute, isn't that? And you're like, yes, it is. That's the Beetlejuice house. And oh, by the way, the mystery machine is driving down the street, and here's the team that's going to go investigate. So you could totally have Scooby-Doo investigate the Beetlejuice house. I think that'd be really funny. That's another thing I've been collecting, is a lot of die-cast vehicles from franchises like Back to the Future and Ghostbusters and Scooby-Doo. So I have a lot of stuff all ready to go for these miniature mashups, which would be really fun. Would be really fun, go to a convention or something and be like, all right, I'm going to host Walking Dead game. We're going to use that rule set, but it's going to be zombies pouring out of the Psycho house, and the poor mystery machine. They checked into the Bates Motel, and now they got to get out of there. So you could do really funny games like that, and it'd be fun. A long time ago, back in the 90s, I went to a convention. It was called Pacificon. I don't even know if they're around anymore. I hope they are. But Pacificon was my first gaming convention I ever went to when I was a kid. And somebody was running a Call of Cthulhu campaign, and it was all done with miniatures, and they had this huge like haunted house miniature on a hill. And halfway through the game, the mystery machine drove by and had this little toy of the mystery machine just driving down the road. And it wasn't going to do anything. It was just driving by. But there was a demon that was flying towards us, and he had to roll a dice. So 50-50. Either it chases you guys or it chases the mystery machine. And he rolled the dice and it chased the mystery machine. So we were saved. And then he had another game board, which is like this big catacombs, like dungeon crawl, where a Shoggoth was like spinning around eating people. And at the end, it ended up killing all the players as Cthulhu was manifesting. And then the Shoggoth turned around and ate Cthulhu, and then the game was over. So that was a fun time. But yeah, Pacificon was great. Another game that I want to talk about is Blood and Plunder. Actually, there was some people that made some homebrew missions for Blood and Plunder that included the Predator from the movie Prey. I have some of that uploaded to the AVP channel, or the AVP Facebook group. You should go there and download it. But yeah, over in the Blood and Plunder Facebook group, some people did some homebrew rules for that. And if you can't find them, just hit me up. I'll send those files to you. But I printed those out, and now I'm like, oh shit, now I got to start Blood and Plunder, because that's the game that I've been interested in. But I was like, that's all historical. There's no fantasy element. But then somebody released a Predator. Of course, now I want it because it's got Predator in it. But yeah, Blood and Plunder. That's probably going to be my next game that I'm going to get into. I have an old game called Pirates. Battles on the High Seas, I think is what it's called. And it was this game put out by 7th Street Games back in the 90s, which was just a couple dudes in their garage. And they lived in kind of Northern California, kind of near where I used to live. And there was this guy that used to do game demos, and he was friends with those guys. And he was actually the guy that gave me a ride to Pacificon, my first gaming convention. And so this guy, he would run these pirate campaigns, which were really fun, like battles. And so I'm thinking of dusting off those old rule books and playing some pirate games. But Blood and Plunder, somebody made some Predator rules, so now I'm kind of curious. I also have some friends that are into pirates, so I'm like, okay, maybe I can talk them into doing this hobby with me. So yeah, I guess a lot of stuff has happened. So Blood and Plunder, you can get the Predator rules for that. Stay on Facebook and come to my two groups. Again, my groups is AVP Wargamer and Zombicide / Walking Dead Wargamer, and go through the files section in the photos and look for all the fun stuff that we've been doing on there, and have fun downloading some stuff. And then if you make custom rules or custom things for games, please share. That's what we're all about over here. Is we want to share this hobby with our friends, and we want you to be our friends. So share your hobby goodness with us, and we'll have more fun. So anyways, I'm going to sign out, because remember, next time it's Wargame.